Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome here into, this is Hotel Hermosa right here in Hermosa Beach, California, about a mile and a half away from the Elite 11. Now, we come out here every single year, and I always say it's the most important scouting event that I do. And I think that always gets taken lightly because there's always a Georgia commit here. I traveled clear across the country this year for this event. No Georgia commit. Jared Curtis obviously not going to be here, but I'm more excited, or as excited as I always am, to cover this event because I think it's pivotal. I mean, I was thinking, I went through the list of first rounders last year in the NFL draft, or a couple years ago rather. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Michael Penix, J.J. McCarthy. I watched all of those guys throw in one camp setting here. I think it was back in 2021. Whenever most of those guys were coming out of high school, some of those older guys came back as camp counselors. I'm just as excited to watch the 20 guys throw here as I am every year, but really those camp counselors that come back, those guys are going to be draft eligible players this year in college football, and we always get to see those guys go through pro days and sling it around a little bit, so you really get a hold of what is going to ultimately be somebody's future franchise, whether it's somebody in college football right now. There's a lot of college football fans listening to this today, but statistically proven, I mean, somebody's NFL future is going to be out here on the field, right? There's one of these guys every single year that is guaranteed to be a first-round draft pick. I'm not talking, I don't know who it's going to be, but statistically speaking, that's what it is. That's what this event has historically been, and I think there's a group of guys that will ultimately contend for that by the time they get done with their college career here. Now, I always do this one of two ways. There's a film evaluation, and then there's what we do out there, right? What we see out here during this camp. And for me, I think we always talk about how the film doesn't lie, or we don't say that around our network, but people do, right? We're a shut up and grind the tape group. That's what we do. We want to look at the film anyways, always. That's what we start with. But I do think there is one position where the film will occasionally lie to you, and that is the quarterback position. You can sit there and watch as much tape as you want, but if you never get in person and see these kids throw, you never really have the true evaluation of what they are, and how the ball comes out of their hand, right? We talk about the life of the football, all right? Well, you don't get to see that unless you come out and see these kids up close and personal. I have always stated that, like, hey, if you ask me what I think about a kid at the quarterback position, if I haven't seen him in person, I probably will tell you that first and foremost, right? If you're a college coach talking to me and you say, hey, what do you think about so-and-so? Well, the first thing I'll say is, well, coach, I haven't seen so-and-so in person, but the tape tells me this. And then at the end of that, I'll say, but it's like a 65% completion, grade, right? I've only graded out like 65% of the eval because I'm only looking at what the film is. I really, truly believe this is an intangibles position. It's a decision-making position. It's an accuracy-based decision position. But, a lot of that will be found out this week in terms of what the life of the football looks like coming out of their hands. That's why we come out here. So I know all of these kids that we're going to evaluate this week, I'm going to see, and I'm going to talk about on our channel over the next several years. So it's important that we come out here and do this. I always do a pre-Elite 11 camp rankings, right? Just go watch the tape, do what I do, right? Grind the tape, if you will, and find out who these kids are on tape. And then it's always kind of fun to see how it changes after 3 days of like being up close and in person and evaluating these guys, at this here camp at the Elite 11, because they're going to put them through the gauntlet, man. If there's any moment or any vulnerability in your mechanics or any vulnerability in your throwing mechanics or throwing motion, they're going to find it. They're going to expose it out here. So if we find a limitation, or if there is a limitation, we'll find one pretty quickly. All right, so here's how we're going to do this. We went through the film. I graded it out 1 through 11 with some OLIs, okay? So I do think there is a clear-cut film eval 1 for me, a guy who I think is competing out here this week that I think took the #1 eval for me with a slight margin. I put them all through a metric scoring system, graded frame, mechanics, arm strength, arm talent, athleticism, tape, the overall tape score, and then an average. No ceiling yet, no in-person eval yet. We'll get those this week. All right, #1 on my board coming into this week is the USC commit, Jonas Williams, graded out a 4.75 for me, 6'1.5", 215 pounds. I have a pre-notes list of things that I wrote down, and then a post-notes list of things that I wrote down. Here's my pre-notes thoughts of Jonas Williams. It's a Lincoln Riley take, so I know for a fact, right, I'm going to see a rotational thrower. I'm going to see somebody who's super lively through the throwing motion, right? Through the zone is what we call it. It's going to get in and out really, really quickly. And I'm also going to see a plus athlete, not somebody who looks to make plays with their legs, but someone who is dramatic or athletically gifted enough to create with their arm and buy time to do so, right? And based off the height and weight, 6'1.5", 215, I already knew going into the film I was going to see some thick lowers, and that's exactly what I got from Jonas Williams. I think another thing that sticks out to me about Lincoln evals, every quarterback I've ever seen that Lincoln has taken out of high school since I've been studying this sport, they are all very, very sudden, meaning, oh, the progression's open right now, let's go right now. I can get that juice whenever I need to because my feet not only are tied to my eyes, but I'm the type of athlete that can create juice suddenly. The first clip of his highlight tape is exactly what, I thought it was going to be, right? A rotational athlete who is a rotational thrower who is a plus athlete that can extend to kill you down the field. And that's exactly what he does on tape relatively consistently. Like I said, man, the suddency is what really stuck out to me. And there's no inefficiencies in the throw and mechanics. There's no wasted movements. I don't think he overstrides at all. Some of these guys we're going to talk about tonight or today, there are some mechanical inefficiencies that lead to inaccuracies for them. This guy, I think he's really, really clean top to bottom. 4.725 on my rankings, if you will. He's a dude, man. Like there are certain plays where I think there's a reason he wears 13 in high school football. I'm not saying he is Caleb Williams, but there are plays where guys bounce off of him because he is so thick from the midsections down. I'm talking about from the nips to the kneecaps. This dude is thick, okay? So there you go. That core strength, that core stability, that spinal flexion, all that is paramount with regards to the quarterback position. All that stuff is very, very, very important. Your contact balance, how well we can stabilize our core at all times. And if we're thick in that core and real muscular in that core, odds are we're going to be really, really strong at all times playing the quarterback position, and he is. Number 2 on my film evaluation, like I said, I had Jonas Williams at a 4.75. I got Faison Brandon coming in at number 2 at 4.68. And honestly, from number 2 down to about, I'm going to say wherever my man Duckworth's at, all the way down to 9. There's a real bunch from 2 to 9 here, guys, including a tie. I got Faison Brandon, number 2, the Tennessee commit, 6'3.5", 200 pounds. Doesn't have a full junior tape made available right now, which is interesting, but I watched a couple games of him, man. I think this might be the strongest armed guy in the class, or at least that's here, right, that we're going to see throw this week. This guy has what I call a 60-yard flick. Like, he really can get down the field with very, very effortless mechanics, and he's long, limber. And one thing I have really come to notice about Faison is not only is he a tremendous athlete, okay, but he's grown muscle. Like, he's put on a lot of muscle mass over the last calendar year, just in times of like seeing him at the regionals, right? Seeing him at the Atlanta Regional in 2024, and then seeing him at the Atlanta Regional again in 2025, and I'm going to see him again tonight. So super excited to see just how much further the body has developed as well. I've told the story about him. I think there's 2 types of athleticism, right? There's the guy who's height, weight, speed, twitchy, right? He can run real fast, he can jump real high. Everyone knows that athlete. There's also, and he's good at that, but there's also the athlete where I can walk over to him and I say, hey, Faison, I want you on this rep, I want you to change this one little thing about your mechanics. And then he immediately applies it. Like he could just say, oh, you want me to do what? And then he can think about it and he can make his body do it. That's a whole nother class of athleticism, and that's exactly what this guy has. So I watched it firsthand and in person with a drill that Quincy was doing with him in warm-ups at the Elite 11 Regional, and that type of adaptability, that type of malleability, if you will, as a quarterback is really, really important, and he certainly got it. So yeah, we don't have the junior tape, but there is a ton of juice in this arm. I wouldn't say he's an elite runner. I would say he's a build speed guy, kind of like Keshan Henderson, who we're going to talk about right up next, right? Keshan Henderson, the Houston commit, number 3, tied with my man Oscar Rios, who I think I want to talk about first, because I don't know if enough people are buying Oscar Rios stock. Hey, Matt. I wonder if Matt's buying Oscar Rios stock, because I'm buying the hell out of it. I don't know if anybody else is, but I am. All right, so these West Coast kids, you come out here and there's one trainer. There's a bunch of trainers, but there's a trainer that I've I've been following, I've been taking little tidbits from, I've been studying the hell up out of Danny Hernandez. Okay, Danny Hernandez trains out here, and I saw my man Oscar Rios' tape, 3 clips in. I said, that's a Danny guy. I already know it is. All right, these kids that come out of Danny's, camps, if you will, or trainings, if you will, they're super rotational throwers, very rotational throwers. Shoulders stay square at all times. They're cutters of the football. They're on the side of it. It's spinning at all times. They can get to different arcs and angles from that rotational platform, and it just reeked. I knew West Coast kid. I saw the California, of course, trains with Danny Hernandez. Excited to see him this week as well, man. He's got some elite life. He's got some shit to him too now. Got some athleticism to him. He make guys miss out in open field. The one question I have about Oscar, and you're going to see it this week if you look at any film that we got coming out or anybody puts out, he's very, very thin. He's very, very, very thin right now. I just wonder if he can get to about 210, man. But I put it in the notes before even watching the tape. I knew this kid had a whippy motion. You can see it in his face. You can see it in his pictures. He's very, very thin. Okay, he's very slender. And if you're going to be 6'3", you're going to be out here, you're going to be slender, I know you're going to be whipping it. And that's exactly what this kid does. The arm gets through the zone probably quicker than anybody else we studied today, apart from Darien Coleman. The only difference is he got like 5 inches on Darien Coleman, the Miami commit, who we're going to talk about in just a minute. I'm ecstatic to watch Oscar Rios this week. I'm curious as to where he's going to go, because I think last I looked, it was like Arizona, maybe. Way too good. No offense, Wildcats. Way too good for Buddy from San Jose State. That's a callback to this show. If you don't watch this show often, you don't get the Buddy from San Jose State joke. You should watch more often. Hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, rate, review while I take this vigorous swig. Hey, how about your boy? How about your boy completely forgetting the major component to a tripod? The major component to a tripod, the little thing that screws into the bottom of the camera, gone. So we got no tripod out here. We're using a trash can and adapting. That's what we're doing out here. Keshan Henderson, number 3, elite athlete, blew up at the All-American game from Houston, staying at Houston. Something about me loves that. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. Something about me loves the fact that he's from Houston, staying in Houston. I do think there's some struggles to get arc on the football. When he's throwing the ball 45, 50 yards downfield, the deep balls, man, like we're super flat, okay? And I think that's because of our arm slot. I'm gonna get a better look at it this week, but I do think we probably have a propensity to lose footballs nose down. We probably have a propensity to underthrow guys flat, okay, on them deep vertical routes. I'm curious to see what it looks like out here. Do we find, or can we find, some natural arc to our ball? You guys have heard me on this channel talk about that for years. I think the best thing a quarterback can do when throwing a deep ball is not just throw the piss out of it and throw it a mile, but get that thing to come nose down, okay? Get that thing to arc back down on that wide receiver. Wide receiver. They're more trained to catch footballs this way than DBs. DBs are trained to do this, okay? Not to do this. Make them do that. They'll have a hard time catching that football. Probably one of the better athletes in this class is Keshan Henderson. Faster than quick, though. I think we're a 20 to 40 guy. I don't think we're a 0 to 20 guy. I don't think there's any of that. There's some. Now, it might be lying to me on tape because he is 6'3", right? He's a bigger, longer football player. But man, him and Rios, kind of similar football players. I ain't gonna lie. Hey, Matt, are you buying Oscar Rios stock? Are you buying Oscar Rios stock? No. Non-ball knower, Matt Galatson, not buying Rios stock.
I've never seen the guy throw a pass.
Unfortunate. Here we go. Number 5. Speaking of Matt Galatson, shout out to the Texas Longhorns. Number 5 on the list pre-camp, okay, is Diabell, the kid out of American Heritage, listed at 6'2.5", 215 pounds, fresh off a knee injury, I believe, this offseason. Is that correct? Fresh off a knee injury, Diabell?
Yes.
Fresh off a knee injury, Diabell, but still had junior tape, and damn good junior tape as well. I'm going to go ahead and slide a comp in here, okay? Just play style in general. I'm not saying he's going to be this, because Lord knows I got him ranked 5th here in this show. But my man kind of plays the game like Joe Burrow, right? Kind of plays with like, ooh, he's a 4'6", athlete. Ooh, he likes to get flat down the line of scrimmage and continue to keep his eyes down the field when extending plays. I like a lot about what Diabell's got going for him. What? Oh, a smoke stepper. That's what I got on the film notes. I love that. A smoke stepper. What's a smoke stepper? New term here on the network. You got a bunch of smoke in the pocket. We're going to step right through it. He a smoke stepper. This kid right here makes big time throws. Love his pocket integrity and his boldness. Extremely creative football player as well. I saw a play rolling left, hit a little forward shimmy, a little shuffle right there to a guy on a scramble. Love this kid. 4.66 on the overall score, just slightly under the guys Keshan Henderson, Oscar Rios, and Faison Brandon. I think that 4.68, 4.66 range for all four of those football players. On to our next guy on the list. He is the Miami commit, number 6 on the pre-camp rankings, Darien Coleman. If this guy were 6'3", he'd be the number 1 ranked quarterback on my board. Ain't no doubt about it. If he were 6'3", 200 pounds. Because it ain't just we're 6 foot, might be 5'11 and a half. The only player on the roster I got sent today that did not have a height and weight on him is Darien Coleman. I don't know if that's for a reason, but he's also probably the only guy that would volunteer to run a 40 out here, because I think he ran 4.58. Like the only guy in recent memory I've known that's lasering 4.5s out here at an Elite 11 camp. Most kids run real slow out here, and then they say they're 4.4 guys on the hand time, which you might be. If you're a 4.4 guy on a hand time, it means you're probably a 4.52 guy on the laser. He's a legit 4.5 guy on a laser, and he plays with that kind of twitch, man. But it's not just in his lower half. It's not just in the plays that he makes with his legs. He's got immense life and immense twitch with his arm as well. Again, man, he'd probably be the number 1 quarterback on my board. He got massively dinged, okay, for frame. All right, there's just no doubt about it. This is a smaller football player. He might be 165 pounds. It's a very small football player, but he's got real life in the football. Number 7, the new Bama flip. How about this one? Flipping an Iowa State commit. And I'm going to tell you right now, I learn more and more every year when I come out here about what type of quarterbacks each coach and each program prefers, right? And I'm going to tell you about Kalen DeBoer's just MO, right? Kalen DeBoer has never cared if you're a great athlete at the quarterback position, not based off the evals I've seen him take, right? Will Rogers would confirm that. Austin Mack would confirm that, okay? Michael Penix, we found out he was a great athlete, but we didn't really look at that when we watched him play at Washington. What he cares about is dime throwers. That's it. So I knew when I went, first of all, Jet Tamala, elite name for a quarterback. I mean, it might be a little bit better name for a wide receiver named Jet, but nonetheless, okay, elite name, Jet Tamala. You see the damn neck on this kid. This kid's got a thick-ass neck and a big old chin. He's a big, thick football player, 6'3", 215 pounds, and his tape was exactly what DeBoer tape is supposed to be. You better be elite 30 to 60. 30 to 60, you better be dropping dimes, okay? I don't care what you do with your legs. I don't give a shit, okay? But Keelan Russell's tape last year, probably the best 30 to 60 thrower in high school football last year, I felt like. On tape, it was that. My man Jet, same exact way. I think he's a great thrower of the football. In terms of just pure throwing tape, probably got some of the best throwing tape in this class, if not the best throwing tape in this class. Number 8 on the list, Bo Bentley, obviously uncommitted right now. I think it's probably LSU. If not LSU, gonna kick Jaden O'Neal out of Oklahoma's class. I don't know what they got going on there. But listed at 6'2", 200, a thicker athlete, very similar to these other guys. I got a great player comp for my man Bo Bentley. I've probably watched more Bo Bentley tape than any other player at this event, and I've locked in Drew Lock. I think Bo Bentley is Drew Lock. That's what I'm selling. All right, now, is that good? Is that bad? It was great in college. I mean, that's a 10-year pro. I mean, if I were Bo Bentley, if you told me I was going to be Drew Lock, well, sign me up. Sign me up for 10 years, you know, making $5 million a year. I ain't going to be mad at it. But, yeah, that's what I think I got going on right here with Mr. Bo Bentley. Very professional offense, okay? They're under center. They're getting after it, playing a real offense. He's great on the move, mechanically clean with real juice in his legs. Now, here's the weird thing about Bo. All right, the tape's great, but this dude went to, I think, 2 regionals, did not qualify, got the late invite. Buddy ain't throwing it so hot at these events, so we're going to see what's going on out here today. Got outthrown by the kids out there in Texas, and then got outthrown by Darien Coleman down there in Florida, so we gonna see. We're gonna see. He 0 for 2 right now, trying to go 1 for 3. So we're gonna see about that this week. Number 9 on the list, Landon Duckworth, a basketball player with a ton of explosiveness. He's perhaps the biggest thoroughbred athlete that we got out here. Okay, we are just kind of scratching at this surface. If there is a ceiling score for any athlete in this class, he might have the highest of them all, because there's such variance in what we got arm slot wise. And it's not because we're playing with angles, right? I know when you change your arm slot because we got offensive lineman, defensive lineman in our face, we got to get to a different, we want to play. No. On air, this kid floats the arm slot every once in a while, floats the mechanics, floats the lower body. I just think it's because we're not as refined as some of these other kids might be. Like Bell has been classically trained at the quarterback position for a decade now, I bet that kid's been throwing, my man Jonas Williams, I bet that kid's been throwing with a trainer for a decade now. If not, God blessed him with one of the cleanest mechanics that there is. Landon's got some looseness to him, okay? But he can have that because of how great of an athlete he is. Speaking of great athletes, Travis Burgess is a massive human. Okay, Travis Burgess, the UNC commit. I'm gonna check to make sure this is still recording. Yes. Okay, Travis Burgess, we have no producers on the road. Travis Burgess, the recent UNC commit. I cannot express to you how large this human is. Okay, you see 6'5", you see 200 pounds, and that's all sweet and nice on paper. He is huge. Okay, he's the biggest kid on field, it feels like, every time he's on a high school field. And he plays 6A, big time, was 7A, big time high school football, okay, in the state of Georgia, and won a state title this year. And I was there. He was the best football player on the field, for my money, in that football game, and won a state title in 6A. So very, very good, and not good, great athlete at this size. When you see him running in the open field, the first question is, how in the hell is anyone going to get him down? All right, that's the first thing you think of when you're a defensive coordinator, I would imagine. Now, I will say this about Travis, and the reason he's 10 with a real high ceiling, there has been such growth, and I don't mean this as a negative. There's been such growth for this young man as a thrower. Okay, everything from the mechanical structure of this kid as a passer has cleaned up dramatically. There's still some room to grow. There's still certainly some room to grow. I see a kid that is still kind of, it's almost like a new golf swing. It's going to sound weird, but it's almost like a new golf swing you figured out one day, and then the next day, ooh, we got to tweak something else again, right? We're misaligned again. Same thing. I think there are some good days and some bad days with Travis, but the athlete as a whole, tremendous. Number 11, Mr. Irrelevant on this here list. Where's he at? Let's see here. Number 11 is Briggs Cherry, the Louisville commit. What a name for Briggs Cherry. 6'4", 205, all-name team. Now, some you got to know, he goes to the Baylor school. So when you watch Baylor school tape, at least, correct me if I'm wrong, Baylor school guys, if you're in the mentions, okay? So correct me if I'm wrong. But from my knowledge about Chattanooga high school football and the Baylor school, if you are the quarterback at Baylor, that means everybody else around you is better than who you are playing. Does that make sense? You have a better team around you at Baylor than every revolving school in that area of Tennessee. Matter of fact, I would argue to say that the Baylor school has some of the best athletes in the state of Tennessee, at least based off my history of covering the damn state. All right, they produce a Power 5 football player every year. That can't be said about many schools in the state of Tennessee. So there's that. Don't mean to downgrade the guy. Very, very akin to what my man Jet's got going on for him. This is a polished, modern-day pocket passer. This is what they look like. This is the baseline for athleticism. All right. If you move worse than this, you probably ain't gonna survive. All right. I don't think he's a great athlete. I think he's good enough, but he's a damn good thrower of the football. So there's that great thrower. I do wonder if he can move. I want to give a quick shout out, a little OLI here. My man Jake Fett, the Arizona State commit, I put in my pre-show notes. If Kenny Dillingham is going into Texas to take you, first of all, great job, Kenny, going to Texas and landing a Q. But second of all, I know you're a damn dude. You're probably a baller. Now, you might not be 6'5", but I bet you played the game with some competitive damn integrity that, you know, make your heart warm if you're a football fan. That's what that kid plays with, and I can't wait to see him out here this week. Appreciate you guys for being here. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button on your way out. Shout out to Jonathan. Shout out to Kirby. Shout out to us never having a road crew. You know, I'm looking on social media today, and there's really big companies that spend, I would imagine, some figure of money to actually be able to stream at the Elite 11 site, and they got fancy stuff, and they got fancy lights, and they got y'all make sure we do some numbers, okay? Just make sure we do some numbers, because one day I hope to have fancy lights, but I ain't gonna sit here and cap. Hotel Hermosa be doing me right. You know what I'm saying? Ain't got no security guard this year. Ain't nobody worried about me. I'm over here doing my own thing. Nice little camera view. I could use some sunscreen. We'll see y'all later. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button on your way out. Love you. Bye.